Do you know why Jewish millionaires perform a specific ritual with salt before touching their money each morning? It's not superstition. It's not some strange religious quirk. It's one of the most powerful wealth activation secrets that has been deliberately hidden from you for centuries. I'm going to reveal something today that will change everything you think you know about money, success, and why certain families build generational wealth while others struggle, paycheck to paycheck their entire lives. My name is Rabbi Morai, and for the past 47 years, I've dedicated my life to studying the ancient texts of the Talmud and Kabbalah. My grandfather was a respected rabbi in Jerusalem. His father before him taught these same principles in Poland before the war. This knowledge has been protected within my family for 8 generations. What I'm about to share with you isn't theory. It isn't some motivational speech designed to make you feel good for a few hours. This is a practical, actionable method that I've personally used to transform my own financial reality and that I've taught to thousands of people across 4 continents. And it works regardless of your religion, your background, your education level, or where you're starting from today. Now here's what's important. The ritual I'll reveal in the middle of this teaching is so powerful that when you apply it correctly, you'll see undeniable signs within 24 to 48 hours, not weeks, not months, days. But you need to stay with me until the end, because if you miss even one step, if you skip even one element, it simply won't work. And I'm going to show you exactly why this ancient Jewish wisdom about salt and water and wealth is the missing piece you've been searching for your entire life. I learned this secret when I was 19 years old. It was 3 days after Yom Kippur, the holiest day in the Jewish calendar. My grandfather called me into his study. I remember the smell of old books, the flickering candlelight, the way the shadows danced on the walls lined with ancient texts. He looked at me with those piercing eyes that seemed to see straight through to my soul, and he said something I'll never forget. He said, "Morai, the work for money, we make money work for us." And it all begins with understanding what money truly is. At first, I didn't understand what he meant. Money was money. You earned it. You spent it. You saved it if you were smart. What else was there to understand? But then he showed me passages from texts I had never seen before, teachings that had been passed down from rabbi to rabbi, father to son for over 3,000 years. And he explained that this wasn't just spiritual knowledge. This was practical wisdom that had allowed the Jewish people to survive and thrive through every persecution, every exile, every attempt to destroy us. He made me promise 2 things that night. First, that I would practice this wisdom every single day of my life. And second, that when the time was right, I would share this knowledge with others who were truly ready to receive it. The time is now, and if you're still watching, you're ready. The first time I actually saw this work with my own eyes, I was 23 years old. I had just finished my rabbinical studies and I was completely broke. I'm talking about checking the cushions of my couch for coins broke. I had tried everything the world told me to try. I applied for jobs that never called back. I tried to start a small business that failed within 3 months. I even asked family members for help, which was humiliating. Nothing worked. Then I remembered exactly what my grandfather had taught me. I followed the exact method, the same one I'm going to teach you today. I gathered the elements. I performed the ritual at the precise time. I spoke the words with complete conviction. Within 48 hours, I received an unexpected check in the mail from an old insurance policy I had completely forgotten about. 3 days later, a man I had met briefly at a wedding called me and offered me a teaching position at a prestigious yeshiva. Within 1 month, my entire financial situation had transformed completely. That's when I knew with absolute certainty that this wasn't just ancient philosophy. This was real, tangible, measurable power. The Talmud teaches that there are spiritual laws governing every aspect of physical reality. These laws existed before money was invented, before governments were formed, before any religion was established. The ancient rabbis discovered these laws through thousands of years of observation, study, and practice. And they encoded this wisdom into specific rituals, specific words, specific actions that anyone can use to activate these universal principles. When you align yourself with these laws, you're not fighting against the current anymore. You're flowing with the force that governs all abundance in the universe. And that's when what others call miracles start to become your normal daily experience. If you're ready to activate this ancient wisdom in your own life, I want you to write in the comments right now these exact words. My wealth is activated. I read every comment personally, and I want to see hundreds of declarations of faith before I continue. Do it now. I know exactly what you're going through right now. I know because I've sat across from thousands of people just like you over the past 4 decades, and I've heard the same story repeated so many times that I could tell it myself. You wake up every morning with a weight on your chest. Before your feet even touch the floor, you're already thinking about bills, about debts, about obligations you can barely meet. You work hard, probably harder than most people around you. You do everything you're supposed to do, but no matter what you try, the money situation never truly changes. Some months are a little better, some months are a little worse, but you never break through. You never reach that point where money flows easily, where you're not constantly calculating whether you can afford things, where you actually feel financially free. And the worst part, everyone around you has advice. Your brother-in-law tells you to invest in crypto. Your coworker says you need a side hustle. Some guru on the internet wants to sell you a course about passive income. Just work harder, they say. Just save more. Just think positive. But none of it works, does it? Here's the truth that nobody wants to tell you. The system you're operating in was never designed for you to win. It was designed by people who already have wealth to ensure they keep it, while you remain trapped in a cycle of earning, spending, struggling, and repeating. I see this all the time. People come to me after they've tried everything the modern world offers. Financial advisors who take fees regardless of whether you make money. Investment strategies that work great until they don't. Self-help books that make you feel inspired for a week before you're right back where you started. And it's not your fault. These methods all ignore the fundamental spiritual laws that govern abundance. They treat money as a purely physical phenomenon when in reality, money is energy. It's spiritual force made manifest in physical form. The Talmud says panasa, which means livelihood or sustenance, comes from heaven. This means that the flow of abundance in your life is governed by spiritual laws, not just by how hard you work or how smart your investments are. Most financial advice focuses only on the physical level, how much you earn, how much you save, how much you invest, what your credit score is. But wealth begins at the spiritual level. And if you don't address the spiritual blocks, if you don't activate the spiritual laws of prosperity, nothing in the physical world will permanently change. You've been told that wealth comes from hard work alone, that if you just put in enough hours, if you sacrifice enough, if you grind enough, eventually you'll make it. That's a lie. I've studied the ancient texts for nearly 5 decades. I've seen what works and what doesn't. I've observed thousands of people from every background imaginable. And I can tell you with absolute certainty that hard work is necessary but not sufficient. Without spiritual alignment, hard work just makes you tired. The Jewish people understood this truth thousands of years ago. That's why we've been able to rebuild our wealth in every country we've been scattered to, often from nothing, often while facing persecution that would have destroyed other peoples entirely. It's not because we're smarter, it's not because we work harder, it's because we know secrets that most people will never learn. Here's the universal truth that changes everything. The Kabbalah teaches that salt is one of the most spiritually potent substances in all of creation. It preserves, it purifies, it attracts, and it seals. The ancient rabbis used salt in temple rituals specifically because of its unique spiritual properties. When I first studied this with my grandfather, I didn't fully grasp the implications. But after years of applying these teachings and watching the results, I finally understood. Salt is not just a seasoning. It's a spiritual technology that our ancestors mastered over millennia. When you combine salt with specific intentions, with water as a purifying medium, with the timing of sunrise, which represents renewal, you create a spiritual vortex that literally rewires your relationship with abundance. I've personally witnessed this work for people who had been in debt for decades and became completely debt-free within 18 months. I've seen it work for business owners who went from barely surviving to generating more revenue than they ever imagined. I've seen it work for ordinary people who simply wanted to stop worrying about money every single day. And in every single case, they followed the exact method I'm about to teach you. Now, I'm going to reveal the exact method. This comes directly from Kabbalistic teachings that have been practiced for over 3,000 years. It's been used by Jewish families to activate and protect wealth for generations, and it works. But before I show you the steps, you need to understand something critical. This is not a game. This is not something you do casually or as an experiment. When you activate these ancient spiritual laws, real forces begin to move. Real energy begins to shift in your life, and you will see real results, but only if you follow every step exactly as I teach it. You might be wondering why this specific combination of elements, why these particular steps. The answer goes back to the earliest teachings of Jewish mysticism. The ancient rabbis discovered through revelation and through careful observation that certain substances, certain words, certain actions performed at certain times create powerful spiritual effects. What I'm teaching you isn't my invention. I'm not clever enough to create something like this. I'm simply a messenger passing down what was passed down to me through an unbroken chain of teachers stretching back to antiquity. Every element of this method has a purpose. Salt represents preservation and purification. Water represents the flow of blessing. The timing of sunrise represents new beginnings and the activation of divine mercy. The specific words represent your conscious intention interacting with universal consciousness. When you combine these elements in the right order with the right intention, you create a spiritual opening that allows abundance to flow into your physical reality. This is completely different from anything else you've tried for several important reasons. First, it works at the spiritual level where all physical manifestation begins. Second, it uses specific elements that have been proven effective for thousands of years. Third, it requires your active participation, meaning you're not just wishing or hoping, but actually doing something concrete. Fourth, results come quickly, usually within days, not months. And fifth, you don't need to be Jewish. You don't need special training. You don't need anyone's permission. You just need to follow the instructions exactly as I give them. The Talmud teaches that salt was present at creation and will exist until the final redemption. It is eternal. It connects the physical world to the spiritual world. When you understand this, you understand why this method is so powerful. You're not trying to manipulate reality. You're aligning with laws that already exist and have existed since before time began. Before you begin, you need to prepare yourself mentally and spiritually. This isn't about being perfect. Nobody is perfect, but it is about being clear and focused. Here's what I tell everyone before they start. First, choose a time when you won't be interrupted. The ideal time is in the last few minutes before sunrise. But if that's not possible, do it within the first hour after you wake up before you eat or drink anything substantial. Water is fine, but no food. Second, make sure you're in a calm state. If you're angry, anxious, or distracted, wait. The energy you bring to this ritual matters enormously. Your emotional state affects the spiritual potency of everything you do. Third, set your intention clearly before you begin. Know exactly what you're asking for. Vague intentions create vague results. You don't need to know every detail of how it will happen, but you need to be clear about what you want to experience. Fourth, trust the process completely. Even if some steps seem strange to you, follow them exactly. Remember, this has worked for thousands of years for millions of people. Your temporary confusion is not a reason to deviate from the instructions. Are you ready? Good. Here's what you need. The first element you need is sea salt, not table salt from the grocery store, sea salt. This distinction is extremely important, and let me explain why. In Kabbalah, we teach that sea salt carries the energy of the ocean, which represents the endless flow of divine blessing. The sea has no beginning and no end as far as human perception is concerned. It constantly moves, constantly flows, constantly renews itself. Table salt has been processed and stripped of these properties. Sea salt retains the spiritual signature of the infinite. When you use sea salt in this ritual, you're tapping into that energy of endless abundance. The ancient rabbis discovered that sea salt has the ability to purify negative spiritual residue and attract positive spiritual forces simultaneously. This dual action makes it uniquely powerful for wealth work. I've seen sea salt work miracles in financial situations. I've seen it clear debt blocks that had plagued families for generations. I've seen it attract unexpected opportunities that seemed impossible. You need approximately 1 tablespoon of coarse sea salt. You can find this at any grocery store in the specialty salt section. Pink Himalayan salt will also work, but Mediterranean sea salt or Dead Sea salt is ideal if you can find it. The second element is pure water. Again, not tap water if you can avoid it. Spring water or filtered water is best. Water in Jewish tradition represents the flow of divine wisdom and blessing. The Hebrew word for water, mayim, contains the letter mem twice, which represents the revealed and hidden aspects of divine blessing. Water carries information. This is not mystical speculation, but scientific fact. The water you use will carry your intention into the salt and create the activated mixture you need. If your water contains chemicals, additives, or negative energy residue, it will diminish the power of the ritual. You need one small bowl of water, approximately half a cup. Glass or ceramic bowls are preferable to plastic or metal. The third element is your wallet, or wherever you keep your primary money. This might seem obvious, but many people keep money in multiple places and aren't sure which to use. Use your main wallet, the one you carry with you daily, the one that touches your money most frequently. Your wallet is not just a container, it's a vessel that holds the energy of your financial life. Every transaction passes through it. Every bill and coin absorbs and carries energy. By involving your wallet in this ritual, you're directly addressing and transforming your relationship with money at the most intimate level. If you primarily use digital payments and rarely carry cash, still use a physical wallet. Put even a single bill in it for this purpose. The physical representation matters. The fourth element is your own hands. Specifically, both hands washed and dried before beginning. Your hands are the instruments through which you interact with the physical world. In Kabbalah, the right hand represents chest, which means loving kindness and giving. The left hand represents jira. When you perform this ritual, you'll be using both hands in specific ways to balance these energies and create the opening through which abundance can flow. Make sure your hands are clean, not just physically, but spiritually. Wash them 3 times, alternating between right and left before you begin. The fifth element is the light of sunrise. The moment when night transforms into day is one of the most spiritually potent times in the entire 24-hour cycle. In Hebrew, this time is called Netshachama, the emergence of the sun. It represents renewal, hope, the triumph of light over darkness. If you absolutely cannot perform this ritual at sunrise, do it at the earliest moment after waking when you're in a calm state. But sunrise is ideal and will produce the strongest results. Check the exact sunrise time for your location the night before, so you're prepared. Now here are the exact steps to follow. Step 1. The night before you plan to perform this ritual. Place 1 teaspoon of sea salt in your glass or ceramic bowl. Set the bowl somewhere safe where it will not be disturbed. As you place the salt in the bowl, say these words either aloud or silently with complete conviction. This salt carries the blessing of preservation and purification. It will attract abundance and repel all lack. Then leave the salt overnight. This allows it to absorb the energy of the night, which in Kabbalah represents the hidden feminine aspect of divine blessing, the source from which all abundance flows. Step 2. Wake before sunrise. Wash your hands 3 times, alternating right and left, drying them completely. Sit or stand in a comfortable position, facing east if possible toward where the sun will rise. Step 3. Take your bowl of salt in both hands. Hold it at heart level. Close your eyes and take 3 deep breaths, breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth. With each exhale, release any tension, fear, or doubt you're holding about money. Let it go completely. Step 4. Slowly pour the water into the bowl with the salt. Pour it with your right hand while your left hand supports the bowl. As the water mixes with the salt, say these words. As this water and salt unite, so does abundance unite with my life. As this salt preserves and purifies, so is my wealth preserved and purified. As the sun rises, so does my prosperity rise. Feel the truth of these words as you speak them. This is not empty recitation. You must feel it in your body. Step 5. Stir the mixture with your right index finger, clockwise 7 times. 7 in Jewish tradition represents completion and divine perfection. As you stir, visualize the life you want to live. See yourself paying bills easily. See money flowing to you from expected and unexpected sources. See yourself generous and free from financial worry. Step 6. Dip both hands into the saltwater mixture. Let your hands rest in the water for at least 30 seconds. Feel the salt and water energizing your hands, which are the instruments through which you receive and give money. Step 7. Without fully drying your hands, take your wallet and hold it between your palms. The moisture from the salt water should transfer to the wallet's surface. As you hold your wallet, say, This vessel attracts abundance. This vessel overflows with blessing. Money flows to me easily and constantly. I am aligned with the universal laws of prosperity. Step 8. Place your wallet in direct sunlight as close to the exact moment of sunrise as possible. If you're indoors, place it on a windowsill where the sunrise light will touch it. Leave it there for at least 10 minutes as the sun rises. While your wallet sits in the sunrise light, take the remaining salt water outside if possible and pour it on the earth, giving thanks for the blessing you have activated. If you cannot go outside, pour it down the drain with gratitude and intention. After you complete these steps, here's what you can expect to experience. Within the first 24 hours, you might feel a sense of lightness or optimism you can't quite explain. You might notice you're thinking about money differently with less anxiety and more confidence. Some people experience vivid dreams about abundance or receive messages in their sleep. Pay attention to everything. Within 3 to 7 days, you should start seeing tangible results. This could be an unexpected refund arriving in the mail. It could be a check you forgot was coming. It could be someone offering you an opportunity that aligns perfectly with your skills. It could be a debt suddenly becoming easier to resolve or disappearing entirely. Pay close attention to coincidences during this period. Pay attention to strangers who speak to you. Pay attention to invitations and offers that seem to come from nowhere. The universe often works through ordinary channels. Within 30 days, if you've performed the ritual correctly and maintained your positive intention, your financial situation should show noticeable improvement. The specific form this takes will vary based on your circumstances, but the transformation will be undeniable. Now, I need to give you some critical warnings, and I need you to take these seriously. First warning, do not perform this ritual while harboring hatred, jealousy, or ill wishes toward anyone. The Talmud is absolutely clear that prosperity gained through negative intention will eventually turn to curse. If you're angry at a business partner who cheated you, if you're jealous of a sibling's success, if you wish harm on anyone, deal with those emotions first. Clear your heart before you attempt to clear your finances. I learned this lesson early in my rabbinical career when I tried to help a man who came to me desperate for financial breakthrough, but who was consumed with bitterness toward his former employer. The ritual backfired badly. His situation actually got worse until he genuinely forgave. Second warning, do not speak about this ritual to skeptics immediately after performing it. When you plant a seed, you don't dig it up every day to see if it's growing.